In this video, I'm going to go over the most common questions that I am asked about Medicare supplement plans, also called Medigap plans. So I'm going to riff here, just go from memory of what's asked of me most often. So the first question is, do I go for Plan G or Plan N? So you might already know this, but Medicare supplements, there are several different types. They go by letters, A through N. A couple are skipped over. The only ones that are relevant nowadays, Plan G, Plan N. Plan G is the most popular. Plan N is gaining steam. Both are good options. Plan G is very simple. And basically how this works is all you're left paying is the Medicare Part B deductible. This year in 2025, it's $257. So after that $257, every dollar of your care that is an approved Medicare charge under Part A or Part B, the supplement's going to pay your portion. Medicare is going to pay its portion. You're not paying anything else after that $257. If you are the type to prefer the most comprehensive, just give me the best, I don't want to worry about anything, I would say 7 out of 10 of my clients are that type, then just go with Plan G. It's more expensive, about $50-ish more expensive per month than Plan N is. But people tend to find that to be worth the peace of mind and just the simplicity of it. Okay, and I don't stop them. And I think it's a fine choice. Plan N, like I said, is becoming more popular. It is very similar to Plan G, couple exceptions. You're still going to pay that Medicare Part B deductible, that $257 this year. You're going to have up to $20 copays for an office visit at a doctor's office, which I don't think is a big deal. Up to $50 copay for an emergency room visit that does not result in a hospital stay, which again is not a big deal considering how expensive the ER is. And then the third difference is Part B excess charges. Medicare Part B excess charges. Plan N does not cover those. Sounds a little bit scary, but it's not a big deal. Let me explain. Excess charges essentially are this. Say a doctor accepts Medicare. They contract with Medicare. I will take Medicare patients. They generally need to accept something called Medicare assignment when they do that, which is basically for this type of service that I, the doctor, render to my Medicare patient, I have to accept that Medicare is going to pay me $300 for that, whatever it is. A doctor can, if they aren't happy with that, just making this very simple, they can charge an extra 15% of that amount. And then you would be responsible for that under Plan N because that's an excess charge. I think the last I read, it was 2 to 3% of all Part B claims had excess charges with them. So it's very uncommon. And my understanding is dermatologists are the ones who use excess charges most often. So just be aware of that. And you can get around excess charges and avoid them by simply asking your doctor, hey, do you accept Medicare assignment? If the answer is yes, there will be no excess charges, then you're fine. So that's Plan G versus Plan N. The market is moving to Plan N as far as like competitive pricing, price stability. Just if you think about it, there are a couple of little, speed bumps. You have a little more skin in the game as the policyholder in sharing your health costs. $20 copay here, $50 copay for an ER, that kind of thing. So it makes sense. So Plan N is 95% of what Plan G is. It has all the other great benefits of a supplement. It is a budget conscious choice. It's great. So is Plan G. The next question is, what company do I recommend you buy your plan from? Once you've decided G or N, usually think, okay, now who should I buy it from? And what does the pricing look like? So this, like anything in Medicare, the first thing is, okay, what's your zip code? Your zip code can mean the difference between one company being like the most competitively priced of the whole lot or totally out to lunch. So let's dial in your zip code, your age, your gender, whether you use tobacco. And then basically this is overblown. This is way too overcomplicated in what you might find online or hear from people. I do this. There are dozens of companies in any given zip code that sell Medicare supplements. Let's take out all the ones that are not blue chip names. So the ones that you and I recognize, maybe a couple that I recognize that I know are good, that I've vetted, that are solid companies, but names we recognize, are they financially secure? Do they have a good credit rating? Have they been in the business a long time? Either the health insurance business, the Medicare business, or even specifically the Medicare supplement market? Or are they a new entrant with some name you've never heard of, with a small marketing attack, and they're not going to get many people on the plan? They could have a nice rate, but that's not going to last long. So you cut out a lot of the risk of going with a cut rate that may not last if you just stick with the blue chip companies. I'm oversimplifying it, just explaining it to you here, but really that's as simple as it needs to be. Among the blue chip companies, which one has the most competitive rate for you? That's generally the one to pick. If you want to go a layer deeper, and I caution against this because then you start to overanalyze and suddenly you're trying to make a decision on something you have no control over, but I'll cover it anyway. You can look at the historical rate increases for the company that you're considering. In the last handful of years, have they increased the rates? And if so, how much? You're going to get rate increases with Medicare supplements. I don't care who you are. It's just a fact of life, but we would like them to not be huge. So, history is not an indicator of future results, but it can help just kind of guide our decision. So rate increase history. A couple other stats that you might be able to get access to is the size of the risk pool, which is basically how many people with that company, with that plan G or plan N in your state have that policy. The bigger, the better, usually, not always. But if you think about it, the more people on a given plan, the less impact a bunch of claims has on it. So like if there's a real small cohort of people in the risk pool that had hospital stays or were diagnosed with cancer or had other expensive things happen to them, not going to upset the apple cart as much as a smaller risk pool would. The idea there is the insurance company is not so prone to raise rates to a large degree for that plan in that state for those people. The second thing is the loss ratio. So same thing with that plan G in your state with that company, for example. What is the loss ratio basically versus how many dollars they take in, the insurance company does, from monthly premiums, people paying for the plan? How much are they paying back out in claims? I usually see that a healthy loss ratio, and I'm not an actuary or anything, but I find that the blue chip companies have a loss ratio of 75 to 85%, give or take. So they're making money, but not too much. It's running at a healthy rate. As you approach 100 or exceed 100, that means it's losing money. So obviously that means perhaps they're going to be more prone to a higher rate increase. So we want to avoid that if possible. Again, these are things that you and I can't control. We can check and observe, but we're not going to go to the ends of the earth to nitpick a percentage point here or there. It's just kind of a gut check kind of thing. So rounding all that out, which company do I recommend? It's the blue chip name with the most competitive rate in your area. That's really what it is. And then some people have had a bad experience on a group insurance plan with some company, that is just fine in the Medicare supplement space. For whatever reason, they just don't want to go with them. And I get that. If you don't have a good experience with a company, you don't want to give them your business anymore. Totally fine. I will tell you that if you had a bad experience with some company on your group health insurance and you're looking at their Medicare supplement, it's a different business unit. It might as well be a completely different company. There's just the same logo on the card. But I'm not going to stop you if you don't want to give your business to a company. That's totally fair. Another good question I get is, what if the company that I go with goes out of business? What if they go bankrupt? What if they cease operations? If that happens, then you will get a guaranteed issue opportunity to buy another Medicare supplement plan. So no underwriting is essentially what that means. That is, as Medicare lays it out, that is what the rule is. But that rarely happens, if ever. Think about it. If an insurance company has a bunch of people on a plan and it's running somewhat profitably, or just at an acceptable loss ratio, if that company wants to get out of the business, they're not just going to wipe their hands of it, clean their hands of it, and just let it all go. That's an asset. Okay. So they usually do a couple of things. One, they can stop selling it. Okay. So you can't buy it after some date, but the people who already have it can keep paying for it, and they have to honor that if they want to keep operating. The insurance company does. That does not count as a guaranteed issue opportunity. Just because they stop selling it, it's still operating. The other thing that might happen, and does happen, is the insurance company can sell that Medicare supplement block of business to another insurance company. They'll rebrand it or something like that. Same thing happens. That does not give you guaranteed issue, because the insurance is still good. They're still good for it. So if you're an insurance company, you've got an asset, you're going to sell it to make money off of it, right? If you want to get out of the business, you're not just going to drop it all and let it go away. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I haven't heard of it happening. But that's why you don't want to get caught with a no name that you bought at a cut rate, and then they stop selling it because they realize, oh crap, we're losing money hand over fist here. So we're going to stop selling it. Now these people are stuck with a plan from a no name company. It could be tossed around like a football from company to company. And the rates are probably going to go up higher because the risk pool is now shut off. There's no fresh blood, so to speak, to come in, younger, healthier people to keep the risk a little more steady. So another reason why you just go with the known names and the most competitive among those. Next question is about underwriting. So if let's say I buy a plan G from company A when I start Medicare, what if I want to change that? What if I want to go to plan N with the same company? What if I want to go to plan G with a different company, or plan N with another company? Prepare to go through underwriting is all I got to say to you with that. So it's not extensive underwriting. They're not going to take blood and give you a physical exam, but it's health questions essentially. And they're looking for, and every company is different. Some companies are more lenient than others with some conditions. Some are more strict, but they're looking for big, expensive stuff. So heart attack, cancer, stroke, hospitalization, expensive medications, stuff that just tends to be expensive. So it's not it's not the hardest test to pass, if you will. If you got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, other kind of minor things, or you had something more serious like a heart attack 5 years ago or so, and you're back to normal, then there's a good chance you could pass underwriting with any given company, but it depends. And use a good broker to help you determine which companies will be more favorable to your situation if there is a question there. But prepare to go through underwriting. There's no guaranteed issue in the vast majority of cases. I would not count on that if you do want to switch at any point down the line, either company or plan type. So that's why I recommend, look, when you buy your first Medicare supplement, you've got guaranteed issue. Let's use that and plan for the long term. Would you be okay with this for the rest of your life, with this company, with this plan? If so, great. Don't worry about it. And you're going to have rate increases, but it's just, again, it's no big deal compared to what you get with a supplement. It's just an unbeatable value, even if the rate increases are 5-10% a year or more. The next common question I get is about foreign travel. Do Medigap plans, do Medicare supplement plans cover me if I'm in a foreign country traveling and I need healthcare abroad? So the short answer is yes, but it's a limited amount and it has to be on an emergency basis. So just speaking generally here, there's a lifetime limit of $50,000 on a Medigap plan. They'll cover usually 80% of foreign emergency healthcare costs up to that $50,000. There's a few little bits of fine print in there too, but the point is it's not enough if something unfortunate happens in foreign country and you need emergency medical care. And that issue is twofold. Number one is the expense itself. So 50,000 is not going to be enough if something really bad happens. You need it in the hundreds of thousands up to $1 million. You can get in a standalone international travel health insurance plan. And that's inexpensive enough to be worth it, I think, to just max out and buy that on a per trip basis. The second part is medical evacuation. So, okay, now we've triaged me. I'm the life-threatening thing is over. I'm still in a foreign country's hospital. I need to get home. I want to get home. Get me the heck out of here. Some travel insurance plans will pay for some, maybe all or most, of medical evacuation, getting you back to the U.S., to your hometown or your hospital of choice to keep recuperating. Next question, how do brokers get paid to sell a Medicare supplement policy? How much do they get paid to? So just as a starting point, Medicare supplement commissions are less than Medicare Advantage commissions. Just throwing a generality out here, it's about half. Okay. So, depending on the company, it's about 20% per year for the first 6 or so years that you have a policy. After that, the commission either drops off considerably or goes away for the broker who sold it to you. The national average, I believe, is around $250 to $300 per year in commission to a broker for a Medicare supplement plan. For context, Medicare Advantage, if you sell it to someone who's buying Advantage for the first time as a broker, you're north of $700. So if that tells you anything about the bias out there with Medicare Advantage, brokers make less money on supplements. Next question, will my doctor accept my Medicare supplement company versus another one? The answer is yes. And the way that works is if a doctor accepts original Medicare Part A and Part B, then they accept every supplement because they don't contract with the supplement. They contract with Medicare, the government. All claims flow through Medicare, they make claims decisions, they make the payments. And if you have original Medicare with a supplement and you have a claim, Medicare pays its part. And then they tell your Medicare supplement via a data feed to pay X amount. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no decision maker at any given insurance company. We feel like paying that or not. Nope. They got to pay to the letter of the plan as outlined by Medicare. Thus, a doctor shouldn't care and does not care which company your Medicare supplement is from. You got to give them both that ID card for the supplement and your red, white, and blue Medicare card so they can keep it on file and have the claims filed to both places. But there is no say from an insurance company with a supplement in whether or not they pay a claim. Medicare makes that decision. And that's another thing I really like about supplements is you're not having an insurance company get in the middle of you and your doctor and your healthcare decisions. So again, Medicare supplements you pay more, you get more. That's another benefit that I don't really hear discussed much. An insurance company's not getting in the way. So that's a great thing, I think. All right. So those are the biggest questions, the most common questions I get about Medicare supplements. I know there are more out there. If you have any in particular, leave a comment. I'll respond. I might make another video with some more follow-up answers if there are enough. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful.